Alright, here we go. Getting started with 2013 Bowman Chrome, hobby case number 3. I use the number 3 so I can properly label it on YouTube and Ustream and all those places. And then following this will be the 2 jumbo cases. I'm just going to dump these out and then I'll stack them neatly within view. Alright, if you guys end up wanting to see something again, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to get rolling here. Box number 1. There we go, baseball card shop style. Reminds me of being a kid, wishing I could just open all the packs. Alright, so we got Kimbrel Braves, got Boyd with the Athletics, and we got an auto in our first pack. That's pretty neat. Alright, so it's Jeremy Baltz for the Padres, and it is a refractor auto. Finishing up the pack is Trevor Rosenthal. It is auto. The auto is number 191 out of 500. Here's the first time I've ever seen that. Auto in pack number 1. Got Garrett Cole, Tyler Pike, Dan Langfield for the Reds, and Gallardo for the Brewers. And I'll read off all the teams, definitely for the prospects. Every once in a while I might skip a team on the vets. But Beckett with the Dodgers, Jorge Martinez with the Indians, Osuna with the Blue Jays, and Melky Mesa Yankees. Zimmerman Nats, Marrero for the Red Sox, got a Ryan Howard Sapphire for the Phillies, and Escobar for the Giants. Johnson for the Blue Jays, Hindman for the Astros, Gohara for the Mariners, and Lester for the Red Sox. Shoulders for the Cubs, a Tyler Pike refractor for the Mariners. That's right, the regular refractors aren't numbered. Portillo for the Padres, and Cruz for the Rangers. McCullers for the Astros, Mini Allen Hansen for the Pirates, Chargoy for the Twins, and Fister for the Tigers. I usually have a lot of fun butchering the names as I go. Maurer for the Twins, Watts for the Diamondbacks, Light for the Red Sox, Worth for the Nats. Garcia for the Tigers, Gallagher for the Royals, Kyle Gibson refractor for the Twins, and Glasnow for the Pirates. Holiday for the Cardinals, Gregorio for the Giants, Nunez for the A's, and Hamilton for the Angels. Brantley for the Marlins, Roach for the Brewers, Encinas for the Yankees, and Scudero for the Giants. Price for the Rays, Cozens for the Phillies, autograph number 2, Alcantara for the Cubs, and Gallardo for the Padres. So the Cubs are on the board, the auto. So box number 1 was one of the 2 auto boxes. Try putting that one upside down. Pack didn't want to cooperate. Nuno for the Yankees, Hinkle for the Angels. We got a Sabathia refractor for the Yankees, and Vasquez for the Tigers. Reynolds for the Mets, Murphy for the Rockies, another regular refractor, Giants Bumgarner, and Wade Miley for the Diamondbacks. Alright, hopefully we'll get a little more color, at least a purple or a blue or something. Swisher for the Indians, Mateo for the Mets, Butler for the Yankees, and Braun for the Brewers. Kickham for the Giants, Walker for the Twins, Cabrera for the Braves, Wainwright for the Cardinals. Last 2 packs of box number 1 coming up. McCutchen for the Pirates. I see some color. Castro for the Tigers. Stratton for the Giants. 178 out of 199. So we've got a Stratton purple refractor for the Giants and Molina for the White Sox. And we got Holiday for the Phillies, Andujar for the Yankees, Lara for the Mets, and Bruce for the Reds. So that wraps up box number 1. Let me sleeve these few refractors. Alright, box number 2. So we've got the Padres and the Cubs on the board for autos, Giants on the board for some high-numbered color. We're looking for some Diamondbacks and some Rangers. And some Tigers, of course. Zobrist for the Rays, Lamb for the Diamondbacks, Mendez for the Rangers, and Encarnacion for the Blue Jays. Skaggs for the D-backs, Polanco for the Twins, Guillen for the Reds, Posey for the Giants. Hosmer for the Royals, Nelson for the Brewers, Turley for the Yankees, Hicks for the Twins. Tulowitzki for the Rockies, Johnson for the White Sox, Michael Young for the Phillies refractor, Dugas for the Yankees. Hechavarria for the Marlins, Almonte for the Royals, Ernie Banks Sapphire for the Cubs, and Perez for the Diamondbacks. Wheeler for the Mets, Holmberg for the Diamondbacks, Martinez for the Indians on the refractor, and Stratton for the Giants. Harrison Rangers, Lynn for the Red Sox, Rathjen for the Dodgers, and Colomb for the Rays. Phillips for the Reds, Mejia for the Giants, Court for the Diamondbacks, Ellsbury for the Red Sox. Yuri Perez, Nats, Edwards for the Rangers, Piazza for the Angels, Kemp for the Dodgers. Craig for the Cardinals, Taylor for the Brewers, and our autograph is a redemption, Adam Walker. And sadly, I don't know exactly what team Adam Walker plays for, so we are going to look it up. Alright, appears he is a Twin, so Twins are on the board with their base auto of Adam Walker. And we got Middlebrooks wrapping up the rest of that pack. Alright, so we should have our color coming here somewhere in a minute. Zhang for the Pirates, and we've got Eflin for the Padres, 070 out of 250. So we've got a blue Eflin for the Padres, DePaula for the Yankees, and Reddick for the A's. Alright, we got Toki for the Phillies, a mini Stevenson for the Reds, Montero for the Mets, and Malone for the A's. Harper for the Nats, Owens for the Red Sox, Waka, rookie card refractor for the Cardinals, and Rodriguez for the Rockies. Let me clean this up a little bit here. Alright, down to our last few packs of box number 2. Jones for the Rockies, Granderson for the Yankees on the refractor, Brown for the Indians, and Pettibone for the Phillies. Gonzalez for the Dodgers, Whistler for the Padres, Addison Russell for the A's, and Will Myers for the Rays, rookie card. Freeman for the A's, Hernandez for the Cubs, Curry for the Pirates, and Rondon for the Tigers. Alright, last 2 packs of box number 2. Trumbo for the Angels, Geiger for the Cubs, Eflin for the Padres, Lowry for the Blue Jays. Alright, last pack, box number 2. Longoria for the Rays, Cabrera for the Giants, Williamson for the Giants, and Dickey for the Blue Jays. Granderson in a sleeve. Alright, so the Twins are on the board for box number 2. They might be available for the 2 jumbos. Yep, their Cardinals are available for the 2 jumbos if you're interested in those. I'd even let you take them here if you're interested. It's not too late if you're interested 2 boxes in. If you want to send me, how about 50? Yeah. Let me know how this sounds. 55 for all 3 breaks. And that'll include the shipping because I'm sure you've already paid $5. So let me know if that works before I start box number 3. Any interest? Alright. Keep me updated. Think about it. Nice for the Mets, Leatherstitch for the Mets, Baltz for the Padres, Latos for the Reds. Yeah, no problem. Buttrey for the Red Sox, Michael Bourne for the Indians on the purple refractor. 057 out of 199. Tropiano for the Astros, and Cabrera for the Tigers. Alright, Euclid Yankees, Peraza Braves, Yan Rockies, Zito Giants. Howard for the Phillies, Alford for the Blue Jays, Bridwell for the O's, Pence for the Giants. Vogelsong Giants, Seager Dodgers, Griffey Sapphire for the Mariners, and Fontana for the Astros. Altuve Astros, Shots for the Tigers, Marco Hernandez Cubs refractor, and Eduardo Rodriguez for the Orioles. Alright, Rosario for the Rockies, Alcantara for the Cubs, Barrios for the Twins, and Rios for the White Sox. Ubera for the Braves, Alford for the Blue Jays on the refractor, Applin for the Astros, and Chu for the Reds. Alright, John Jay for the Cardinals, Ash for the Phillies, Matt Cain for the Giants on the blue, 038 out of 250, and De La Cruz for the Red Sox. Rounds out that pack. So I actually got got a blue and a purple out of this box so far. A little more colorful than those first two boxes. Alfaro for the Rangers, Tyler Anderson, mini for the Rockies, Luigi Rodriguez for the Indians, and Mike Minor for the Braves. Willingham for the Twins, Asensio for the Padres, Montas for the Red Sox, and Samardzija for the Cubs. Frazier for the Reds, Boyd for the A's, Stanton for the Marlins, and Osuna for the Blue Jays. Yeah, the cards end up going for pretty much twice what Arizona does. If they were pretty much the same value, I would definitely do it. But Nathan for the Rangers, Conley for the Yanks, and Rienzo for the White Sox is the auto from this box. And then Pujols for the Angels. Alberto for the Rangers, Adam Jones, refractor, Smith for the Royals, Votto for the Reds. Yeah, I can do that for you if you want. You know where to send it? Just send it direct, and then I'll update my spreadsheet here when I take a break. Hernandez for the Mariners, Grullon for the Phillies, Valera Cardinals, and Morse for the Mariners. Breaking cases for you at Gmail is the email address. Just send $7 over there, and I'll take care of it. Moustakas for the Royals, Martinez for the Indians, Glasnow for the Pirates, and Shields for the Royals. Ozuna for the Marlins, Gallagher for the Royals, Encinas for the Yankees, and Franklin for the Mariners. Upton Braves, Torrance for the Yankees, Almora for the Cubs, and Jackson for the Tigers. So that ends box number 3. White Sox are on the board auto-wise there. Moving on to box number 4. Jim Johnson Orioles, Roche for the Brewers, Padres auto, Matt Whistler, the refractor auto, Marande for the Angels finishes out that pack. So there's the Whistler refractor, Whistler, no clue. So I'll just call them both. Verlander Tigers, Watts for the Diamondbacks, Montero for the Diamondbacks on the refractor, and Portillo for the Padres. Chen for the Orioles, Hinkle for the Angels, Tropiano for the Astros on the purple refractor, numbered 001 out of 199. So there's a typical eBay 1 of 1. And Cabrera for the Braves finishes out that pack. Right, yep, same email. Headley for the Padres, Cozens for the Phillies, David Ortiz on the Sapphire, and Nunez for the A's. Tyler Pike for the Mariners, Alfaro for the Rangers on the Refractor, Langfield for the Reds, and Shelby Miller for the Cardinals. Gonzalez for the Nats, Marrero for the Red Sox, Escobar for the Giants, Bauer for the Indians. Familia Mets, Shoulders Cubs, Gregorio Giants, Fielder for the Tigers. Reynolds for the Mets, Coart for the Angels on the Blue Mini, 33 out of 250. Pat Light for the Red Sox, Mariano Rivera for the Yankees. Alonso for the Padres, Murphy for the Rockies, Molina for the White Sox, and Sale for the White Sox. Alright, appreciate it. No problem at all. Castro for the Tigers, Ortiz for the Red Sox on the Refractor, Lara for the Mets, Rizzo for the Cubs. Goldschmidt for the D-backs. And here's our auto number, I think the second auto? No, I didn't. Never mind. Owens for the Red Sox. So, it is a base auto. And then finishing out that pack is Gohara Mariners and Santana for the Indians. Can't remember if this is the second auto out of this box or not. I lost track, but that's alright. Mateo for the Mets, Seager for the Dodgers on the Mini, Mahero for the Braves, and Darvish for the Rangers. Marte Pirates, Walker for the Twins, Rienzo for the White Sox, and Pagan for the Giants. Andujar for the Yankees, Nuno for the Yankees on the Blue Refractor, 149 out of 250. Chargois for the Twins, and Bundy for the Orioles. Zimmerman for the Nats, Heineman for the Astros, Montas for the Red Sox on the pink refractor or magenta, numbered 02 out of 35. Seen them labeled both on eBay. And then Vasquez rounding out that pack. Hawkins for the White Sox, Webster for the Red Sox on the refractor, Garcia for the Dodgers, and Peavy for the White Sox. Desmond Jennings for the Rays, Tolles for the Rays, Steckenrider for the Marlins, and Rendon for the Nats. And the last pack of box number 4. Fowler for the Rockies, McCullers for the Astros, Boyd refractor for the A's, and Butler for the Yankees. So that wraps up box number 4. 33% done. Top loaders. We open up a new pack of top loaders. Usually try to keep this up as I go. Saves me a lot of time at the end instead of trying to sleeve everything at the end. Box number 5. Alright, so we've got Buttrey for the Red Sox, Conley for the Yankees on the refractor, Eduardo Rodriguez Orioles, Wainwright for the Cardinals. Pedroia for the Red Sox, Seager for the Dodgers, Berrios for the Twins, Kelly for the Padres. Andrews for the Rangers, Conley for the Yankees, Carlos Martinez, rookie card refractor for the Cardinals, and Fontana for the Astros. Montero Diamondbacks, Martinez for the Indians, Glasnow for the Pirates, and Chapman for the Reds. Torrens for the Yankees, Hamels for the Phillies on the refractor, Smith for the Royals, and Caps for the Mariners. Gallagher Royals, Correa for the Astros on the mini, Encinas for the Yankees, and McGill for the Dodgers. Rodney for the Rays, Alberto for the Rangers, Maurer on the Sapphire, and Applin for the Astros. Brouillon for the Phillies, and the Brewers are on the board with a orange refractor of Gallardo, number 07 out of 25. And finishing up that pack is De La Cruz for the Red Sox and Marte for the Diamondbacks. Alright, we got Ortiz for the Red Sox, Roche for the Brewers, Langfield for the Reds, Cabrera for the Indians, Kuroda for the Yanks, Ubira for the Braves, Tropiano for the Astros, Bradley Jr. for the Red Sox. BB card 23. What team you got? Let's see if I've pulled anything yet. Iwakuma for the Mariners, Ash for the Phillies, Cisneo for the Padres, and Zunino rookie card for the Mariners. Rays, okay. Not sure if we've pulled anything too exciting for them yet. Cardinals, Valera, Rienzo for the White Sox, 124 out of 199, so we got a purple refractor. Montas for the Red Sox, and Grandal for the Padres. Desmond for the Nats, De La Cruz for the Red Sox, Curie De La Cruz with a very streaky auto. A lot of Sharpie line. He like crosses out his own auto, but not everybody can have a beautiful autograph. I know I definitely don't. Almora for the Cubs and Teixeira for the Yanks. Davis for the Mets, Alford for the Blue Jays, Bridwell for the O's, Weaver for the Angels. Pike for the Mariners, Segura for the Brewers on the refractor, Escobar for the Giants, and Garcia for the Cardinals. Jones for the Orioles, Alfaro for the Rangers, Rodriguez for the Indians, and Gonzalez for the Rockies. Stanton for the Marlins, Boyd for the A's, Alberto for the Rangers on the refractor, Osuna for the Blue Jays. And we're on the last pack of box number 5. Webster for the Red Sox, Marrero for the Red Sox, Shoulders Cubs, Kinsler Rangers. Alright, so we'll be moving on to box number 6. Alright, we got Young for the Phillies, Cameron Gallagher for the Royals on the refractor auto. Come on, you can get in there. Alright. And then we got Portillo for the Padres and Odorizzi for the Rays. Finishing up that pack. Eaton for the Diamondbacks, Reynolds for the Mets, Lara for the Mets, Bailey for the Reds. Granderson for the Yankees, Gregorio for the Giants, Elvis Andrus for the Rangers. It is 203 out of 250. So, got a blue Andrus for the Rangers. And Nunez for the A's, rounding out that pack. Machado for the O's, Tolles for the Rays, Rienzo for the White Sox, Revere for the Phillies. Gordon for the Royals, Murphy for the Rockies, Jose Bautista for the Pirates on the Sapphire, Gohara for the Mariners. I almost said Mariners. Bumgarner for the Giants, Hindman for the Astros, Butler for the Yankees, and Adam Warren for the Yankees. Steckenrider for the Marlins, Crick for the Giants on the mini, Garcia for the Dodgers, Olt for the Rangers. Castro for the Tigers, Grullion for the Phillies on the refractor, Shargoy for the Twins, and Castro for the Cubs. Gibson for the Twins, Andujar for the Yankees, Vasquez for the Tigers, Bourne for the Indians. Waka for the Cardinals, Watts for the Diamondbacks, Latos refractor for the Reds, and Light for the Red Sox. Ryu for the Dodgers, Cozens for the Phillies, Molina for the White Sox, and Fernandez for the Marlins. I just remembered I didn't cancel that auction on eBay. I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick in between packs here. Ruiz for the Phillies, Lamb for the Diamondbacks, Rios for the White Sox on the refractor, Mendez for the Rangers. Nelson for the Brewers, Jordan Zimmerman for the Nationals, 075 out of 199 on the purple, Turley for the Yanks, and Fujikawa for the Cubs. Alright, my listing has ended. Sabathia Yanks, McKellers, Astros, Jose Peraza for the Braves on the base auto, and Freddie Freeman for the Braves. Hopefully we'll see a little more color coming up here. Both in the autos and the base. Hinkle for the Angels, Zito for the Giants on the refractor, Cabrera Braves, and Butler for the Royals. Alright, 3 more packs left in box number 6. Adrian Beltre Rangers, Mateo for the Mets, Walker for the Twins, Arenado for the Rockies. Crisp for the A's, Johnson for the White Sox, Dugas for the Yankees, and there's a Puig rookie card. We'll set that off to the side. And the last pack of box number 6. Davis for the Orioles, Hawkins for the White Sox, Majero for the Braves, and Arcia for the Twins. Alright, on to box number 7. Rodriguez for the Dodgers, McKellers for the Astros, Gaddis, refractor rookie card for the Braves, Gohara for the Mariners. Upton for the Braves, Reynolds for the Mets, Henry Owens for the Red Sox on the refractor autograph, and Cespedes finishes out that pack for the A's. Gregorius for the Diamondbacks, Hinkle for the Angels, Howard for the Phillies on the Sapphire, and Chargois for the Twins. Murphy for the Rockies, Perez for the Diamondbacks on the refractor, Molina for the White Sox, and Mott for the Cardinals. Morrow for the Blue Jays, Castro for the Tigers, Andujar for the Yankees, and Bautista for the Blue Jays. Hart for the Brewers, Mateo for the Mets, Vasquez for the Tigers, Jeter for the Yankees. Ethier Dodgers, Heineman for the Astros, White Sox, Chris Sale, pink/magenta refractor, and Lara for the Mets. And it's card number 24 out of 35. Chris Sale is. Doolittle for the A's, Walker for the Twins, Butler for the Yankees, and Mara for the Mariners. Hawkins for the White Sox, Hunter for the Tigers on the refractor, Cabrera Braves, Montero Mariners. Kipnis Indians, Nelson Brewers, Asesnio for the Padres on the refractor. It's number 104 out of 250 on the blue refractor, and Turley for the Yankees. Johnson for the White Sox, Mason Williams for the Yankees on the mini, Dugas for the Yankees, and Reyes for the Blue Jays. Kimbrel for the Braves, Lynn for the Red Sox, Rathjen for the Dodgers, Kennedy for the Diamondbacks. Polanco for the Twins, A.J. Burnett for the Pirates on the refractor, Guyan for the Reds, Trout for the Angels. All right, down to our last 3 or 4 packs of box number 7 here. Almonte for the Royals, Holmberg for the Diamondbacks, Gallardo purple, 12 out of 199. And earlier we pulled a Gallardo orange, so building a rainbow here. Braves, Chris Medlin. All right, last 4 packs here. Cabrera for the Blue Jays, Wilfredo Rodriguez for the Rockies on the autograph. Marejo for the Braves, and Lynn for the Cardinals. Hayward Braves, Tolles Rays, Rienzo White Sox, Cano for the Yankees. Freese for the Cardinals, Steckenrider for the Marlins, Garcia for the Dodgers, Molina for the Cardinals. A-Rod Yanks, Lamb for the Diamondbacks, Stratton for the Giants on the refractor, Mendez for the Rangers. So that rounds out box number 7. We haven't seen anything better than a refractor auto yet, so it's got to be something in these last 5 boxes that'll wow us a little bit. There usually is at least one, so I'm not too concerned. I am concerned that I can't find my water. There it is. Alright, I'm going to stack those last 4. Round to box number 8. I think the autos have been in the top of the back, so I'm going to try to save the auto for a little bit later. It's a little boring when the first thing you do is pull an auto. Makes the rest of the box boring. Beckett for the Dodgers, Mejia for the Giants, Perez for the Diamondbacks, Rosenthal for the Cardinals. Zimmerman for the Nats, Geiger for the Cubs, Brown for the Indians, Gallardo for the Brewers. Garcia for the Tigers, Edwards for the Rangers, Stratton for the Giants, Mesa for the Yanks. Holiday for the Cardinals, Eflin for the Padres, Smoltz for the Braves on the Sapphire, Williamson for the Giants. Brantley for the Marlins, Taylor for the Brewers, Hudson for the Braves on the refractor, Court for the Diamondbacks. Cole for the Pirates, Jones for the Rockies, Piazza for the Angels, Scudero for the Giants. Maurer for the Twins, Cabrera for the Giants, Court for the Diamondbacks on the refractor, and DePaula for the Yankees. Price for the Rays, Zhang for the Pirates, Montero for the Mets, Cruz for the Rangers. Swisher for the Indians, Alvarez for the Angels, Rosa for the Marlins, Lester for the Red Sox. Alright, hopefully these last couple rows have some color in there. McCutcheon for the Pirates, Toki for the Phillies, Rodriguez for the Rockies, Hamilton for the Angels. Leathersich for the Mets, Minnie Bogarts for the Red Sox, Trahan for the Diamondbacks, and Pfister for the Tigers. Kickham for the Giants, Peraza for the Braves, Carnes for the Nationals, rookie card refractor, Rivera for the Royals. Halladay for the Phillies, Owens for the Red Sox, Gabriel Guerrero for the Mariners, the autograph, and Worth for the Nats. Alright, coming down to our last two packs of box number 8. Whistler for the Padres, Lee for the Phillies on the refractor, Addison Russell, and Jed Guyarko. Josh Johnson, Blue Jays, Hernandez for the Cubs, Leonard for the Rays, Miley for the Diamondbacks. Nuno for the Yankees, Fried for the Padres, Curry for the Pirates, and Bruce for the Reds. Marshall Yankees, Shots for the Tigers, and the Dodgers got a decent hit here, 077 out of 250. There's a blue Puig. Very nice. It's the first Puig color I've pulled out of the cases I've opened. Sure it's not the auto they were looking for, but Dodgers on a blue refractor. It's very cool. I'll put this other Puig in a top loader, and I'll put them together here off to the side. Alright, last pack of box number 8. Kershaw for the Dodgers. Oh, I didn't finish that pack. Baltz was the last card in that other pack. Kershaw for the Dodgers, Alcantara for the Cubs, Yan for the Rockies, Braun for the Brewers. And number 8 is all done. Alright, box number 9. Looking for some color here. Zobrist Rays, Ash Phillies, Fontana Astros, Colomb Rays. Skaggs D-backs, Grullon Phillies, Smith Royals, Kemp Dodgers. Hechavarria Marlins, Valera Cardinals, Tomei on the Sapphire, Almora Cubs. Hosmer Royals, Asensio Padres, Applin Astros, Posey Giants. Tulowitzki Rockies, Conley Yankees, Kane for the Giants on the refractor, and De La Cruz Red Sox. Wheeler for the Mets, Torrens for the Yankees, Guyan for the Reds on the refractor, Bridwell for the Orioles. Longoria Rays, Marrero Red Sox, Langfield Reds, Malone A's. Shoulders for the Cubs. Addison Russell Mini for the A's. Escobar for the Giants. Will Myers for the Rays. Perez for the Nats. Alfaro for the Rangers. Adam Dunn for the White Sox. Purple number 172 out of 199. And Osuna for the Blue Jays. Craig for the Cardinals. Boyd for the A's. Jake Lamb for the Diamondbacks. On the autograph. And then Pettibone for the Phillies, rounding out that. Harrison for the Rangers, Alberto for the Rangers, Montas for the Red Sox, Ellsbury for the Red Sox. Phillips for the Reds, Alford for the Blue Jays, Rodriguez for the Indians, Middlebrooks for the Red Sox. Harper for the Nats, Gregorio for the Giants, Hanley Ramirez for the Dodgers on the refractor, Portillo, Padres. Gonzalez for the Dodgers, Watts for the Diamondbacks, Nunez for the A's, Rondon for the Tigers. Freeman for the A's, Cozens for the Phillies, Light for the Red Sox, Hill for the D-backs. Last 3 packs of box number 9. Martinez for the Indians, Cueto refractor for the Reds, Glasnow for the Pirates, and Lowry for the Blue Jays. Gallagher for the Royals, Roche for the Brewers, Brantley for the Marlins, Blue refractor 027 out of 250, and Dickey for the Blue Jays. Trumbo Angels, Pike for the Mariners, Encinias for the Yankees, and Reddick for the A's. Number 9 is done. Alright, 3 boxes to find something fun. I've never seen a case that didn't at least have a blue refractor auto. But typically you get at least a gold. It's very rare that you get a blue at worst. Or a blue for the best one. Lynn for the Red Sox. Valera for the Cardinals on the refractor. Rathjen Dodgers, Perez for the Royals. Wilson for the Angels, Polanco for the Twins, Guyan for the Reds, Kane for the Giants. Gausman for the Orioles, Alfaro for the Rangers, Rodriguez, Indians, Martinez for the Cardinals. Lincecum Giants, Owens for the Red Sox, Curry for the Pirates, Lee for the Phillies. Cingrani for the Reds, Edwards for the Rangers, Miguel Cabrera refractor for the Tigers, and Stratton for the Giants. Profar for the Rangers on the rookie card, Alford Blue Jays, Bridwell for the O's, Carnes for the Nats. Wood for the Braves, Taylor for the Brewers, Jimmy Rollins for the Phillies on the Sapphire, and Court for the Diamondbacks. Whistler for the Padres, Kyle Zimmer for the Royals on the mini, Rosa for the Marlins, and Carnes for the Nets. Beltran Cardinals, Almonte Royals, Holmberg Diamondbacks, Cueto Reds. Dunn for the White Sox, Mejia for the Giants, Marco Hernandez for the Cubs, Blue Refractor 247 out of 250, and Perez for the Diamondbacks. Moore for the Rays. Alright, and the Twins get a redemption for a blue. Let me finish the other two. DePaula for the Yankees and Hunter for the Tigers are the last two in that pack. So it's a redemption for a blue refractor auto of Adam Walker for the Twins. So we got a base Adam Walker, and now a redemption for a blue Adam Walker for the Twins. Hopefully that's not the case hit, but I guess we'll see. We got 2 more boxes to go. McCann for the Braves, Jones for the Rockies, Piazza for the Angels, Hanley Ramirez for the Dodgers. Strasburg for the Nats, Cabrera for the Giants, Montero for the Mets, and Burnett for the Pirates. Reynolds for the Indians, Zhang for the Pirates, Rodriguez for the Rockies, and Hudson for the Braves. Holland for the Rangers, Toki for the Phillies, Torrens refractor for the Yankees, Addison Russell for the A's. Profar for the Rangers, Hernandez for the Cubs, Trahan for the Diamondbacks, Carlos Martinez for the Cardinals. Last 2 packs of box number 10. Leonard for the Rays, Samardzija for the Cubs on the refractor, Rivera for the Royals, and Hamels for the Phillies. Last pack, box 10. Gaussman for the O's, Fried for the Padres, Alvarez for the Angels, Segura for the Brewers. All right, 2 more to go. Box 11. Leonard for the Rays, Gallagher for the Royals on the refractor, Rosa for the Marlins, Hill for the Diamondbacks. Move this trash can for a few. Lincecum for the Giants, Torrens for the Yankees, Wilson for the Angels, Almora for the Cubs. Rodriguez for the Dodgers, Schatz for the Tigers, Ryu for the Dodgers on the refractor, and Yan for the Rockies. Yabera for the Braves, Eaton for the Diamondbacks on the refractor, Tropiano for the Astros, and Maurer for the Mariners. Gregorius for the Diamondbacks, Alcantara for the Cubs, Tomei for the Indians on the Sapphire, and Baltz for the Padres. Cabrera for the Blue Jays, Chargois for the Twins on the base auto. So yet another Twins auto. It's at least the 3rd. And And then we've got Fontana for the Astros and Montero for the Mariners. Alberto for the Rangers. And we've got an orange refractor, number 4 out of 25, Adis Portillo for the Padres. Smith for the Royals and Molina for the Cardinals. Upton for the Braves, Fried for the Padres, Trahan for the D-backs, Cespedes for the A's. Morrow for the Blue Jays, Alvarez for the Angels, Leathersich for the Mets, and Mott for the Cardinals. Ethier Dodgers, Peraza Braves, Peavy for the White Sox, purple 153 out of 199, and Rivera for the Royals. Hayward for the Braves, Ash for the Phillies, Applin for the Astros, Lynn for the Cardinals. Freese for the Cardinals, Asesino for the Padres, De La Cruz Red Sox, and Cano for the Yankees. A-Rod for the Yanks, Conley for the Yanks, Roche for the Brewers on the refractor, and Montas for the Red Sox. Grullon for the Phillies, Polanco for the Pirates on the mini, Almora for the Cubs, and Reyes for the Blue Jays. Valera Cardinals, Miguel Cabrera blue, 221 out of 250 for the Tigers. Bridwell for the O's, and Kennedy for the D-backs. Sal, what's going on, buddy? Did you have any in the hobby? I can't remember who you had at this point. It's all a blur. Brewers, Hart, Buttrey for the Red Sox, Rodriguez for the Orioles, and Bautista for the Blue Jays. Doolittle for the A's, Seager for the Dodgers, Berrios for the Twins, and Jeter for the Yankees. Last pack of box number 11. Kipnis for the Indians, Alford for the Blue Jays, Alfaro for the Rangers, Medlin for the Braves. Alright, let's hope something will wow us in box number 12. So far, our best color in the auto department is blue. Young for the Phillies, Cabrera for the Giants, DePaula for the Yankees, Fernandez for the Marlins. Eaton for the D-backs, Whistler for the Padres, Curry for the Pirates, Castro for the Cubs. Gordon for the Royals, Hernandez for the Cubs, Rollins for the Phillies, Rosa for the Marlins. Granderson for the Yanks, Zhang for the Pirates, Montero for the Mets, Bailey for the Reds. Ruiz for the Phillies, Seager for the Dodgers, Berrios for the Twins, Revere for the Phillies. Yobira for the Braves, Tyler Austin for the Yankees on the mini, Tropiano for the Astros, Olt for the Rangers. Sabathia for the Yanks, Alvarez for the Angels, Baltz for the Padres, Warren for the Yankees. What's going on? That must be Zach. Gibson for the Twins, Leonard for the Rays, Rienzo for the White Sox on the refractor, Trahan for the D-backs. 8 p.m. Central Time for you. Waka for the Cardinals, Toki for the Phillies, Castro for the Cubs, Rodriguez for the Rockies. Got a Gaddis refractor. Beltre for the Rangers, Leathersich for the Mets, Almonte for the Royals on the autograph, and Freeman for the Braves. So this could be a 2-hit box. I haven't been keeping track, but we'll see. Otherwise, this could be the last auto. Ryu for the Dodgers, Owens for the Red Sox, Elvis Andrus for the Rangers, Purple Refractor 192 out of 199, and Russell for the A's. Okay, yeah. Bumgarner for the Giants, Fried for the Padres, Rivera for the Royals, Bourne for the Indians. Yeah, I'd say so far those are the only 2 Braves cards worth noting. There's the Gaddis refractor and the Peraza auto. Crisp for the A's, Ash for the Phillies, Warren for the Yankees on the refractor, Fontana for the Astros. Alright, coming down to our last few packs. Hopefully we'll find some color in here. Peraza for the Braves, Bourne for the Indians on the refractor, Yan for the Rockies, and Butler for the Royals. This is one of the more boring cases that I've seen. Not a lot of color. Did get a Puig blue. Chris Davis for the O's, Schatz for the Tigers, Alcantara for the Cubs, Arenado for the Rockies. I agree. Wilson for the Angels, Asesnio for the Padres, Applin for the Astros, and Fujikawa for the Cubs. Machado for the O's, Buttrey for the Red Sox, Rodriguez for the O's, Arcia for the Twins. Alright, last pack of the case. Let's see if we end on anything interesting. I do see some color in here. Conley for the Yankees, Asesnio for the Padres, and that is Gold Refractor 16 out of 50. So we end with some color, but nobody too exciting. De La Cruz for the Red Sox, and Puig number 2 in the case. So there were 2 Puigs for the Dodgers. Alright, so looks like the case hit ended up being the blue refractor auto we pulled for the Twins. I think it was Adam Walker was his name. But thanks everybody for joining the hobby case number 3 for 2013 Bowman Chrome. I'll be doing the jumbos here shortly after I do a recap. Thank you guys for watching live. Anybody who actually sits through and watches the whole recorded video, that's impressive. You can listen to my voice for that long. So, alright, thanks a lot.